Welcome back to the deep dive. So, most of us, right? We live with this kind of constant low-level hum of anxiety. It feels like we're always just managing things, like bailing water out of the boat, waiting for the next wave. Today, we're looking at some sources that really challenge that whole approach. They ask, how do we stop managing anxiety and actually start living a genuinely joyful, inventive life?
Yeah, it's a pretty big shift in thinking. Our mission today is to dive into the evidence suggesting the answer isn't just patching holes. It's more like building a whole new ship, maybe, and sailing off on these exciting adventures. And the key, according to our sources, is activating the brain's right hemisphere, that creative side. The idea is it pulls us out of the left hemisphere's anxiety loops, those control freak tendencies.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because the start of this whole idea came from this, fascinating accidental experiment, really. It was done by the author during the pandemic lockdown, which kind of created this unique, controlled setting.
Right, exactly. Things like social plans, daily routines, new stuff happening. It was all kind of static.
Held constant.
Yeah. So the left brain didn't have much new external stuff to worry about. And the question became, well, what if you dedicate a whole month, like 30 days straight, just to right brain stuff, creative activities? Could that actually, break the brain out of that tight, anxious left brain grip?
So the experiment was dedicating the month entirely to drawing and painting, something she loved as a kid, but like many of us, just stopped doing.
That was it. And the setup was simple, just making art. But the psychological result, it was immediate and pretty overwhelming. The sources describe it as feeling slightly high, like fizzing with these little bubbles of joy almost right away from the first sketches. It wasn't just feeling good, it was this intense euphoria.
Wow. But hang on, this person has, 3 Harvard degrees, decades focused on logic, analysis, suddenly getting high off charcoal sketches. Didn't the logical brain kind of protest?
Oh, absolutely. That highly trained analytical left hemisphere got really nervous, like intensely nervous. It could feel it was losing control over, focus and what she was doing. The anxiety kicked in by judging the art, demanding schedules, wanting to check the news, anything to pull her back to the familiar, controllable world.
And this is where that great analogy comes in, right? The art toad.
Yes.
Yeah.
From The Wind in the Willows. That feeling inside was like Mr. Toad escaping prison, stealing a car, driving like mad, feeling totally intoxicated and shouting, "Ho, ho, I am the toad who always escapes."
So the creative self is the chaotic, joyful toad breaking free.
Exactly. Anxiety, time, worries, they just vanished in that rapturous struggle to make images. It was a complete flow state, a mental jailbreak.
Okay, so the 30 days end. Time to go back to normal life, calendars, emails.
Yeah.
How did the art toad take that?
Not well. Not well at all. Fierce resistance. The sources say it through silent tantrums. Just this internal insistence, I'm not going back to prison. I am the toad who always escapes.
That sounds intense, almost funny, but it really shows how deep that need was, doesn't it?
It really does, because when she actually sought help for this internal battle, her own core self, her energy, it sided with the bliss, with the art toad, not with normal life, which tells you something crucial. That creative self was reacting like a starving person suddenly let loose at a buffet. After years of prioritizing the left brain, those degrees, the practical job, the art toad was starved. And when it finally got fed, it went wild.
Okay, so that manic reaction shows the emotional starvation. How does this connect to the actual brain function? What's the neurology behind switching from an anxiety spiral to this creativity spiral?
Yeah, that extreme reaction is the perfect setup for the comparison. See, both spirals can start in the same place. The amygdala, the brain's little alarm bell when it spots something new or unfamiliar. In the anxiety spiral, the left brain grabs the wheel and starts cycling into control, avoidance, fear, the drill.
Right, pulling back.
Oh, yeah.
But the creativity spiral, it's totally different. Let's break down those differences, starting with novelty.
Okay, so anxiety spiral. Left brain response is retraction. Pull away from the world, avoid the unknown. Creativity spiral, right brain driven. It moves enthusiastically toward the new thing. It sees novelty as an enticing and juicy adrenaline rush. It's ticked off by curiosity. Curiosity expands your world, right? Anxiety shrinks it.
And that leads straight into learning, the second difference. We know anxiety basically shuts down learning. If your brain's stuck asking, am I safe? Am I loved? Fight or flight takes over. No room for new info.
Exactly right. You can't learn calculus while running from a tiger. It just doesn't work. But the creativity spiral, it motivates learning. Once you feel basically safe and connected, the brain naturally asks that third question, what can I learn here? Learning becomes the way through the challenge instead of the challenge stopping learning.
Okay, difference 3. Perspective.
Thank you.
Anxiety spirals only show us half the picture, like left hemisphere solipsism.
Yeah, that's the term used. The mind gets so locked into its own internal worries and control tactics that it literally can't see much else. It's like a ship with a super powerful engine going really fast, but with no maps, no compass, no actual purpose beyond just going. Survival mode only.
Very limited. Whereas creativity spirals show us the whole map.
Pretty much. They integrate the left brain's logic with the right brain's search for meaning, for purpose. There's a great example in the sources. A consultant working with top executives. Before talking profits, she asks them, okay, but what's the purpose of having all this money? What does it actually mean to you?
That must stop them in their tracks.
Often, yeah. Because they're masters of the left brain stuff, but they've completely starved the why, the right brain part. The ones who stick with that question start activating that meaning-making part, moving beyond just accumulation.
Which brings us to the 4th difference. The actual scope of your life. Anxiety makes our lives smaller. Avoidance leads to more avoidance, like agoraphobia, shrinking someone's world down to a single room.
Exactly. It's a contracting force. But creativity spirals, they make life bigger, exploration, trying stuff out. When you regularly step out of your comfort zone, even a little bit, through creative acts, novelty itself just becomes less scary.
That reframing is huge. Curiosity as an enticing adrenaline rush instead of a danger signal.
That's really the core value proposition, I think.
So this isn't just a nice mental trick. It's actually essential now, right? The sources call this the age of unprecedented knowledge, tech, environmental issues.
Precisely. When you're facing stuff that's literally never happened before, designing buildings for new threats, doctors fighting new viruses, companies navigating totally new social landscapes, there are no established rules. You have to let the right hemisphere, the creative side, take the wheel sometimes to dream up the new rules, the new responses.
And for anyone thinking, oh, art, that's nice, but it's frivolous, the health benefits are pretty striking. I mean, making art for just 45 minutes lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. Regardless of skill level, you don't even have to be good.
Right, and it's not just chilling out. Think about anxiety reduction. Coloring mandalas for 20 minutes significantly cut anxiety. But you might ask, isn't that just keeping busy? Is it just temporary distraction?
Well, that's where the longevity data comes in.
Yeah.
It's fascinating that dancing specifically lowered dementia risk in older adults. But other exercises, golf, swimming, cycling, didn't have the same effect.
Suggesting it's the combination, right? The spatial stuff, rhythm, social interaction, it's activating more of the whole brain.
Yeah, it's complex engagement. And maybe the most powerful data point, trauma. Survivors using art to process things, they drop their risk of PTSD by 80%. 80!
This really drives home that this creative stuff isn't just fluff. It's medicine. It's profoundly good for our whole system.
Okay, but before we all run off to start a 30-day painting binge like the author, we need to tackle some cultural myths. These things keep that art toad locked up for a lot of people. Let's start with myth number 1. Creativity is a substitute for calming your anxiety.
Yeah, that's a really dangerous one. The truth is, calm is more like a prerequisite for creativity. You need a certain baseline of safety. Think about it. Highly creative people often feel super anxious when they're not creating. If they don't have basic ways to soothe their anxiety creature, self-care, meditation, exercise, whatever works, they can get stuck in anxiety and actually can't access their creative side. You got to tend to the creature first to make space for invention.
Okay, good point. Myth. The creativity replaces human connection. The whole tortured, lonely artist trope.
Right, and creativity is a way to express love and truth. Absolutely. But we're wired for connection. We're social animals. We still need people. The sources mention Alan Turing, the codebreaker, incredible creative genius, basically invented early computers. But his profound loneliness made worse by persecution. It was tragic. Creativity didn't and couldn't replace that fundamental need for belonging.
Such a sad story. Okay, myth 3. This one's huge in our culture. The goal of creativity should be making money. Monetization.
Ugh, this one is so damaging. Because the research actually shows offering money can kill creative problem solving. It just tanks it. It fits the switch, right? What was fun, intrinsic right brain exploration suddenly becomes this anxious, external left brain task focused on results and validation.
And the author felt this directly, didn't she? That amazing creative flow just stopped.
Flatlined. The second a publisher offered a book deal for the paintings, the left brain jumped in screaming, sales, marketing, structure, and poof. The joy and the actual painting just vanished. Balancing pure creation with commerce? It's a really tricky tightrope walk.
Very thin needle to thread. Okay, last one, myth 4. Creativity is easy. Genius just flows effortlessly.
Yeah, we picture that art toad just happily skipping along.
Exactly. But the reality, as the author found, it often involves serious frustration, taxing your skills.
Totally. She described stomping around, swearing, trying to get a watercolor technique right. That struggle is often part of the process. It's actually the path to flow, to growth. It's the best, hardest thing you ever do, maybe. Michelangelo said something like, if people knew how hard I worked for my mastery, it wouldn't seem so wonderful. The struggle is real and necessary.
Recognizing that struggle is key to persisting.
Hmm.
Okay, so how do we start activating this whole brain power? The sources give a practical skill, right? The mirror writing signature exercise.
Yes. It's designed to temporarily kind of short-circuit the left brain's usual control patterns. Here's how you do it. Step 1, write down a troubling topic. Something causing you anxiety right now. Gets the left brain focused. Step 2, sign your name normally underneath it. Step 3, try to replicate your signature backward. Mirror image, right to left.
Okay, that sounds hard already.
It is.
Yeah.
Then step 4, try writing it upside down and mirrored.
Whoa.
And finally, step 5, sign it upside down and backward, just the signature again.
Okay, my brain hurts just thinking about that. What's the point of this mental gymnastics?
The difficulty is the point. Focusing so intensely on this weird, complex, unfamiliar task, it temporarily pulls your focus off the troubling topic. And it forces both hemispheres to work together. Left brain for the structure, the letters. Right brain for the spatial orientation, the novelty. You stop worrying for a moment and you start integrating. It's a brief, whole brain reset.
A little mental circuit breaker. I like that.
And thinking longer term about creative drive and well-being, this connects to a biological concept called neoteny. It's basically a genetic thing in humans where we kind of never fully grow up in the way other animals do. We retain features of juvenile apes.
Physically, yeah, but mentally, sir.
Mentally is the key part. We keep that curious, inquisitive, creative drive toward fun that you see in baby apes, but which most adult animals lose. It gives us this sort of endless mental childhood.
That's our evolutionary edge, that lifelong ability to play and learn.
Exactly. Other species mature, they settle into fixed patterns. We potentially can keep learning, adapting, inventing new rules our whole lives. If we choose to nurture that drive, if we let anxiety dominate, we default to rigidity, we shut down novelty. If we foster the creativity spiral, we lean into our human superpower, constant adaptation and invention.
So wrapping this up for everyone listening, what's the big takeaway? It seems simple but deep. Anxiety is future-focused, right? Predicting threats, trying to control what's next.
Always. While creativity, it's completely present focus. It demands your attention right now.
So by gently, consistently choosing those creativity spirals, giving your inner art toad regular, non-monetized snacks.
Yeah, snacks, not pressure. You're not just reducing stress, you're actually leaning into the purpose we were built for, shaping our own unique, inventive lives.
And here's a final thought to chew on. Building on that idea of the repressed creative self, think about acquired savant syndrome.
Right. People who have, say, a head injury and suddenly develop incredible artistic or musical talent they never had before.
It suggests those abilities, those interests. Maybe they aren't things we add to ourselves. Maybe they're already in there, hardwired.
And maybe, just maybe, it's our left brain's anxieties, its pragmatic rules, its focus on survival. That's the main thing, keeping that inner genius locked up. So the question for you becomes, what small, creative, non-monetized act will you choose this week? Just one thing. To give your art toad its first decent meal in a while, you might find it gets easier and easier to eventually shout, "Ha! Hoo! I am the toad who